Boone County has counties. And I happen to reside in Boone County, so I get the privilege of doing the introductions tonight. Just a fun fact for you. Did you know that not all real estate agents are realtors? Realtor means member of the National Association of Realtors. And our members are held to a strict code of ethics. And in addition to that, when they become a realtor, they take an oath to protect and promote property ownership rights. So we advocate in Frankfurt and Washington, D.C. on behalf of you, the property owners. So I realize in my conversations with media and different people, so a lot of people don't realize who we are. So maybe you learned a fun fact tonight. So our goal today is for you to learn a basic knowledge of septic systems, and then at the end, we're going to have a time for questions if you have it. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to our speakers for the evening. We have Chris Edwards from the Kentucky Department of Health. Chris graduated from Western Kentucky University and has been with the Kentucky Department of Public Health since 2003, and with a specialization in septic systems for 25 years. We also have Bob McCandless from the Northern Kentucky Health Department, which is Boone, Kent, Campbell, and Green counties. And he graduated from Eastern Kentucky University, and he's been with the Northern Kentucky Health Department with a specialization in septic systems for 23 years. So Chris and Bob, take it away.
Hey guys, Chris Edwards. I cover the western part of the state for the Department of Public Health. Just in a nutshell, I'm going to keep this pretty loose. I've spoken several times to the Kentucky Home Inspectors Association. I'm only plenty of questions for the end because they were very eager to ask questions. Assuming some of y'all will be too, so I'm going to leave plenty of time at the end. But if I lose anybody, everybody's got a question, fire away. I have 98 slides. I'm taking on what you want me to cover and what you don't want me to cover. Started out in Warren County. I worked as a health environmentalist for 5 years. Moved on to the state. I've been taking a little ever since. I've got part of this presentation is about cluster systems for decentralized wastewater, and I thought that might be something that interests this bunch. I don't have my microphone. Do I need it? I'll try it. How's that? No. Nice. All right. So, are there any real estate developers in the room? Like 500 acres? Yes, there's a few in here. Don't bother to raise your hands or anything. So, what a cluster of decentralized wastewater is, people have heard of it, is that's where, like, I'm just going to speak from Warren County. If you want to do a septic system in Warren County, you have to have 1 acre. Bob, you have something?
No, not here. It's just there's no particular lot size, just depending on what county it is, what city it is, how it may or may not be zoned. And if it's in a subdivision, if there's restrictions on
Okay.
stuff.
All right, so that's the way it actually should be. I wouldn't say the problem, but let's just say what happens is planning to go and get in control, and they'll set a minimum, just a number they pull out, say 1 acre use. Well, Bob and I and Jake had 5 systems, 1 acre. Now I understand the thought of it, but it really costs you guys money. Because if you take 100 acres in Warren County, you're going to get probably 80 lots down. Right? So if you do a decentralized cluster system, then it's one giant septic system in, remember how many houses you want. And then you have to leave room to repair that system. And it's really catching on in Kentucky quite a bit. So again, let's go back to that 100 acres I was talking about in Warren County. We'll build about 80 houses. If you do a decentralized cluster system, you take that 100 acres and build 300 houses. That's an example I got in Kentucky, like down there, Jake and I work at the state, we're doing, if Bob needs help, Bob will call us, come and run. If you're mad at Bob, you'll call me, and we'll come up and just kind of settle the dispute. So we're pretty down the middle. Now, I had a developer in Lyon County, he was selling, they had a half acre minimum lot size, he was selling lots for $65,000 half acre. And he wanted the cluster system, all the local system, health department, just executive, everybody in between. Nope, not doing that here. So then there was a weird part of my career, we had to sit down and we had a meeting with everybody. First time in my career, I was in the health department and all the local governments on that stuff. So they summarily said no. Because the break moving outside, and I told that guy, he was from Atlanta, I said, hey, I'm really sorry this worked out like this. Gratitude, no reason to do this. He laughed. And he said, oh, son, we're not done yet, watch this. So we go back in the room, everybody was sitting there, and he broke out a PowerPoint presentation. He said, this is how much money the county will make on tax base if I sell a half acre for $65,000. You see where I'm going? And he goes, this is how much money in tax base you're going to get when I sell a quarter of an acre for $65,000 and I quadruple plots. They asked us to step out, step back in, hand out, congratulations. So I believe that'll be the most interesting thing I have to say to this audience. But we'll take a look. Y'all mind if I say? Got nothing. All right, let's do this old fashioned. All right, why do we treat wastewater? We do it to promote public health. It prevents contact with pathogenic microorganisms such as bacteria and viruses. How do we do that? Sort. Okay. The water is never disposable. The facts I learned when I first started this career was this: the amount of fresh water on this earth today is the exact same amount of fresh water when the earth was formed. Okay, we're all drinking dinosaurs. Okay, and we're not making any more. We're not losing. It's an endless cycle of water. So a toilet that you flush today, kids could be drinking in 20 or 30 years. So that's what we do. That's what Bob and I do. That's what we operate. We make sure whenever y'all go houses and stuff, that the soil is suitable, or we even specifically design septic systems to match the soil conditions on that property. You never hear from us until one of y'all get bad news. You got to spend a lot more money on the septic system. What I tell everybody that we go to is the easiest thing for me to do in the world is just to say, yes, get back in my truck, get back home. And then we're all going to be standing out there with lawyers because it's just not. It's very cost effective compared to municipal sewers. Protect your groundwater supplies, recycle it, it recharges the groundwater. It sounds silly, but it's true. Utilizes the natural filtering properties of soil. Is anybody familiar with the big water wars they fought in Chattanooga a few years? Anybody? They were fighting in Georgia and Tennessee almost over Chattanooga River, I think it's called. But they were fighting over water rights because the water table there lowered considerably as the population grew, right? And so it got to be to the point where it was actually kind of hit or miss whether or not they were going to be able to continue to expand. So when we studied this, or I studied it in a national symposium, and the problem was when they developed the subdivision, again, let's just go back to 100 lots, right? They would build 100 lots, and then the planning and zoning would come in and say, got to be on sewer. Got to have sewer, you can't develop. So what's that do? You expand that out 10 years. That means they're drawing water here, water table, there, the wells with the primary drinking water. So they're drawing water out of the ground, water table down below. Then they use the water, they cook with it, they bathe with it, flush their toilets, stuff like that. And then where's it go? Straight to the municipal sewer. And then what, 40 or 50 miles down the road, and then it's treated and emptied. So you're taking the water table, but you're not putting anything back other than rainfall, which is pretty erratic. So they went really deep into these cluster systems because they view them now. It's not only a valid choice to big pipe sewers, it also, people use the water, and then water table, take baths, cook, use the bathroom, we all do. And it works together. Goes into the septic tank, then it goes into your backyard and filters down through the soil. It scrubs the virus and bacteria out. We're good enough, guys. Water table. So you're actually using the water table and you're recharging it. Now I'm sure it's nothing that happens in 48 hours. Okay, they probably mapped this out over 20 or 30 years, but it kind of seemed to calm some nerves down there. I'm going to go through this just a little bit, and then there's a bunch of very specific slides. And if you don't care, I think it's for everybody. So I'm going to fly through this and get the stuff I think they want to hear. All right, so this is the wastewater treatment process right here. Goes in your septic tank, goes out to your distribution box. Let's just take it pointed in different directions where we put lines. Then it goes into your septic system. Now it's going down to the soil, right? It's scrubbing pathogens and bacteria. And it's going to get down to, basically gets into the water table. And then where? Boom, straight up the well, right? So it's a nice little cartoon of everything I just said. But that's how we deal with that. That is the whole premise behind the use of septic system. You don't have to raise your hand. I guarantee you, 75% of everybody in this group is septic tanks garbage, and there's a temporary solution that you could not be more in. There are so many studies out there. Compare the price, big pipe sewers, and I don't want to say damage they do, but just the price alone, the level of treatment you get, they can't compete. It just can't. The only drawback to these things, they go wrong. There's a billion reasons they can go wrong. Now you're in trouble. Fix it. Which I'm not really slapping the planning and zoning around. They have a very important job, but that's why planning and zoning require sometimes too much repair. Okay, but that's why they do it, because they don't want to get into the spot where you've got a giant subdivision of homes. Failing septic system to know where to fix political and ecological, environmental. All right, so maybe some of you are sitting there thinking, why in the heck do we have to put something in 8 inches? Anybody ever thought that? Nobody? Okay. Thank you. Bailed me out. So the reason is you have a lot of restrictive varieties. Now they're not the same throughout the state. Where I live, we have fragipans, very prominent fragipan, and then we have a little bit of massive soil. Bob, what's the big one up?
Well, fragipans for Boone County, Grant, more massive type clay.
Everything. Okay, look at me. I don't give up deep into the science. What that means is it's a layer of soil that's semi-impermeable. After that, so the water's going to get through it, but it's not going to fire through it like it did up here. Okay, it just fires through that and filters out. But whenever you get to something that's what we call a restrictive horizon, the water that's semi-impermeable. The water will get through it, but it's going to go down and stop. And then when everybody goes, everybody comes home, takes showers, cook dinner, bathroom, everything. And it's gonna stop right here. And then it's gonna start backing up. And then when, at night, everybody goes to bed or whatever, it's gonna slowly but surely start filtering through. The good news is at that rate of filtration, you're gonna get an incredible amount of scrubbing bacteria viruses. But bad for us, because if this and the water hits this and it comes up, it's got nowhere to go. It's going to come out on top of the ground. Right? I bet there's one of you that hasn't had a run in failing septic. Okay, if you have, you probably have a good amount. So how do Bob and I fight that? What we do is we try to stay off these jokers. We try to stay. The state law gives us a leeway. We try to get 18 inches off. If I can stay 18 inches off that restriction, then I've got my line itself, which is going to be at least 12 inches or whatever's on top of that dirt soil. And then I've got 18 inches That's now storing water. And it's gonna store that water until we go to sleep, or in the mornings, everybody work, whatever. And while we're gone, or it's not being put to, not as much water being put to it, it's working its way down. So then by the time we gotta get the big hammer of water again, caught up. So that's how we beat, okay? Now, if there's anybody in the room that thinks we're way too heavy handed with this, let me let you know. I'm president of the national organization of people like me and Bob and Jake. We are far and away the most liberal planet when it comes to restricted horizon. Most in Alaska, 6 feet. All right, North Carolina, 3 feet. Most states are a matter of 3 is about the least you'll see, all the way up to 6, 7 feet off restricted horizon. Guess what, guys? If we didn't have the state of Kentucky, we'd do all these things. Nobody knows that. So, if you're in a room and you're upset sometimes, think the department's kind of silly, and you put in 600 system or a fill in late kind of situation, that's still right there. There's a reason. If we go in, if we get close to these restricted horizons, it's not an if, it's not a maybe, it's absolutely going to fail. So that's why we beat that by going shallow and staying off this thing. We want 18 inches. Sorry, I didn't make that point. We want the full 18 off of it, but the way the law reads, we can get within 12. You just got to throw a filter on that. And I don't know how to say it. About the same up here, about 20, 30 bucks. You throw a filter here on the outlet of the tank, and 99% of your solids never leave the tank. Yes, sir. Outstanding question. Never. How's that? You gotta rinse it off. It's disgusting. You know, I ain't gonna lie. About once every 6 months, all you do is try to hand it. You just pull it up, it's in a sheet. Okay. You pull it up, you spray it off with the garden hose, right back into the tank it came out of, and go about your merry way. That's all you gotta do. About once every 6 to 8 months, you gotta rinse off the filter. Thank you for the question. 99% of your solids stay in your tank. I'll let your imagination run wild what we're talking about, but I think we all know what we're talking about. What does that get you? Well, that gets a cleaner effluent. Effluent means sewage, guys. So that gives you a cleaner effluent. It's free of solids. So by the time it hits this ground, it's much more easy for the soil to absorb. Does that make sense? Then if you get a bunch of water full of, we all know what, and other things, and food, and this, that, and the other, it's not going to go down. Plus, it's going to make that septic system last, I don't know, I'm guessing 25, 30 years more. Just because you put a $20 bill. All right. And if some of you do build a lot of houses, I would highly consider putting a filter on everything you did. Just wait for Bob to tell you have to. Because I've got builders that do it. They put a laundry line and a filter on every single system they got. I have health departments with a filter and a laundry line on every single system they got. In my county that does that, I've been working with the state for 20 years. They've never called me one time with a failing system. It's so when it's the name's wrong, Hopkins County. And Madisonville, Hopkins County. They require that, and we ended up looking to do that, and they had terrible soil. I mean, just awful soil, and they've never really had much failure. So that's a good thing. All right, what's our pre-treatment? Our pre-treatment just means septic tank. Okay, what's a septic tank do? It allows all the solids to set, right? And they settle down at the bottom. What comes out the other side is, I want to say clean, but cleaner, more free of solids. Okay. Now, if you have a filter on, there's no solids getting out. Those are 1/16 inch screen size. They're reviewed and approved by us, the state, and you don't have to go shopping around because they know the people that sell this stuff know what's approved and what's not. Okay, so the chances you going out and buying a filter wrong pretty slim, unless you're on the internet. So get something with the Kentucky approved thing and you'll be fine. All right, here's how a septic tank works. This is actually a 2-compartment tank. But this is another thing you can do to allow you to get within 12 inches of restriction. But this is probably what, $800 more? Filters point.
Yeah, most of our installers prefer to go ahead and install the 2-compartment tank.
All right.
For maintenance purposes, they don't trust the homeowner to.
Great point, Bob. I'm going to expand on that. The way I approach my job of regulating is if it's legal, do it. Okay? Now, not everybody sees it that way. And some people are like, no, not my county. I don't think you can get away with it. I believe the law is the law, and that's it. If you're allowed to do something in Boone County, you should be allowed to Boone County, Pike County, or anywhere. Okay? So what Bob's talking about is, I've heard it a billion times, and they're actually. Okay? What Bob's saying is the installers up around here would rather do that because you can't mess with it. It's in the ground, it's gonna do its job. This is gonna, all your solids are gonna build up into sludge layer, okay? But see, this is a 2-compartment tank, this is concrete. So by the time it goes up here and spills over, most of your solids should be in here. It's not, but a lot of it is. And then this will be much clearer than this. And it does what it can, what it's designed to do, it does. Nowhere near to go. But what Bob's saying is up here, the installers don't like to filter much because they're afraid people come by and take it out. They're absolutely right.
But we will, if they ask us if we paint, rather than doing this 2-compartment, can we do a filter?
Yeah.
The answer is absolutely.
Fire on. Yeah, I want to clear that up. Even Bob's idea. He's saying septic tank installers in this area prefer to use this because they know nobody messes can. And they're right. And you will have people rip that filter out and pull it away as soon as it's too much maybe 5 minutes. But you know what, guys? At some point the bills are going to go. I'm not going to cost hundreds of homeowners an easy, better solution because 1 out of every 5 throws it away. Don't think that's way. Yes, sir.
Is the 2-compartment, is that just that it has 2 manholes, or is there an additional beer or bathroom in that tank?
This is the inlet. It's coming in here. This is your extra wall.
Okay.
And what they'll be, 90% of them, 1,500. Okay. Your first compartment is your minimum required capacity. So most 3-bedroom, no garbage supposed to be 1,000 gallon tank. So then the second compartment has to be 50% of that. So it doesn't say it, but most of the ones we see are 1,500. All right. Any question? This is just what I told you real quick. This is how we size them. We go by the number of bedrooms and whether or not there's garbage disposal. Garbage disposals are absolutely terrible acceptance. Okay, but this is the reason for this class. You guys like stuff like that. You don't sell houses, right? Guess what? They're pretty cool if you own a house too. So how do we get your customers what they want and get their fluent to where the system's gonna have a long, healthy life? Put a filter on it. Okay? If you put a filter on it, none of that garbage stuff gets to the line. It all settles down in that first compartment where the tank is the point compartment. Okay? And then we just pretty much, it's 1,000 gallons, it goes up 250 for every bedroom, or if there's a garbage disposal. So like a 4-bedroom, you have 1,500 gallons. After that. Real quick, this is a distribution box. Half my area in the state of Kentucky, it's gonna blow you away, doesn't use it. Yeah, we're gonna get that look at it. For some crazy reason, purchase area of Western Kentucky around Paducah, somebody woke up one day and said, hey, you know what? We just ain't using those things. And I didn't know it until I took a job in Frankfurt. I've been around a couple of years. It took me years to get it straightened out. If it goes from the septic tank, it goes to this box. So there's 2 types of boxes. There's equal flow and there's hillside.
Hey, Chris, real quick, we've got thousands of septic systems in northern Kentucky that do not have boxes until they made it clear in the regulation that what he's talking about is serial distribution, that you're no longer allowed to do that. So
Right,
once they said you can't do it anymore in writing,
Thanks for pointing that out.
we now use boxes.
Okay, For years, it was kind of an argument between us and local health departments because there's a blurb in the reg that mentions serial distribution. What serial distribution means is no box. And there's a way to do that, be kind of in the weeds. But what Bob's pointing out is if somebody, we could do it for years. You're right. Okay, but we got it worked out. But let me explain what deep boxes do. You've got an equal flow box, all lines have to be the same length, obviously. And if I push 10 gallons of water out of that house, every one of these lines is gonna get 2 gallons. What an equal flow system does is it spreads the waste load out of a bigger area, which improves the hydraulic load that you can hammer into your yard, right? So equal flow, every single line is gonna get the same amount of water, all right? But, now this is go back to what's legal and what's preferred. Like me, myself, I prefer equal flow system. It just makes more sense to me that you're spreading the waste load out of a bigger area to function better, everything's better. But this is just how they work. We set the top of the barrier material there and the pipe D-box. And that's what it looks like when it's installed. It's got little things in there you can twist where when that thing takes a bunch of water, and you can see it going out to all the lines, they all stop exactly at the same time. If they don't, if 3 of them stop and 1 of them keeps going, all you gotta do is turn this dial. It's really easy. And then eventually you get it to where these installers can get it to where it's instant. They're just going, stop. So that's what keeps one line from taking more water than the other lines, which can be a huge problem. Like it happens a lot, these things get knocked off balance. The lawnmower will do it that day. And when you knock them off balance, it is water. That means the lines just got knocked over, they're gonna take every drop, but they usually fail pretty quick. It's very easy to repair. Yes, sir.
The lines that come off the storage tank.
That's fine.
What's the material?
There are several. The predominant tubes they can take, old fashioned rock and pipe, and it works for this one. Yes, sir, it works just fine. Y'all probably do like chambers.
They do probably 95% leaching chambers.
Let me adjust. Leaching chambers, and there, I'm sure I got it. It's half circle plastic. There's no gravel, no pipe. These installers can make it level. I guarantee you that can. And the water will hit here. This chamber is open to top. So no other dirt can get on it. This is all top. And the water will run all the way to the end of the line, soaking in as it goes. Okay. That's how leaching chamber. Rock or leaching chamber. It's an economic decision, very specific to where you're standing. Okay. Like I am in Warren County. You can't swing a dead cat in Warren County without getting a permit. So rock in Bowling Green is considerably cheaper than Owensboro. I'm just sticking my area. Because you go up to Owensboro, it's like you guys do some replacement, especially by the river, right? There's just not that much line. You don't have that big rock. So a rock system in Bowling Green, Kentucky will cost you half as much as a liquid chamber system. And then I'll tell something that Bob can never tell me about it. In my whole area, Green River District Health Department, Owensboro is the best there is. They're just the best health department in the world. As good as they are, whenever they have a rock system up there, they have to call me and come find me. Because they have no idea how to do it. Because all they put in is chambers. Because they don't have any rock in their homes. So the system is twice as much as the chamber system in Owensboro. It's just where you're sitting. So if Bob tells me 95% of you guys use bleaching chamber, that's because there's just not a regular supply of gravel here that can financially compete with bleaching chamber.
Well, there is, but the cost of rock and the pipe, all that, it really balances out about the same. And you gotta put a little bit more rock in for the different system. So by the time you do all that, it comes up about the same.
Okay.
And so a lot of times when we do rock with the can, you got one space to do it, a lot of times you don't, and the soil to do it, because you gotta have such an installation depth to get all the components into the ground.
Yeah, at least 12.
Right.
So if you got a 6-inch deep, what Bob's saying is if you got a 6-inch deep installation, let's say we had a restriction. My Hardin County map. Let's say we had a restriction at 24 inches. Remember that strip of horizon? Yeah, we're gonna put that system in 6 inches deep for gradient coverage. Can't do that with rock, which gotta have 12 inches of rock. It's kind of hard to fit 12 inches of rock with a 6-inch hole. So in that case, you would have to be trained. This, we're going down a rabbit hole. I can sit up here and talk this stuff. If nobody in the room can talk about it, shouldn't be a problem today. But anyway, there's 2 types of systems, basically, leaching chambers and rock. You guys are right now, obviously 95%. Okay, I don't even know what's better. I know you got to put in less chambers and more rock. But other than that, it's not much difference. It's just wherever you're standing, how the cheap. All right, so there's where it's coming in. The water, the septic tank's over here. The water's going to come here. It's going to hit this baffle. That's going to stop the flow. That's going to keep this line from taking the water's pouring in. That's going to keep this line from taking a lot of the water. So it's going to hit this and stop. The water goes under this baffle. Hopefully with not a lot of current. And then each line is going to take the exact same amount until the water level lowers. This is a hillside system. This is our other group bottom. This is a lot like what Bob was speaking about earlier. It's completely illegal now. Serial distribution. This is serial distribution, but you use the bottom, which is what we want. And these can be kind of confusing, but they're very simple. So simple. I'll be honest, I get confused sometimes when I'm looking at it. But the water is going to come in here, okay? It's going to go out this pipe. It's going to keep hitting that line and filling up that line until it literally cannot take another tablespoon of water. And then the water level can't take another drop, right? So it's going to raise up and it's going to go out here to the, and it's going to step down to the next line. And the next line and the next line. Here's the problem. They're perfectly legal on vacation. But here's the problem. They operate off the premise of heaven. Okay? If that second line is not taking a tablespoon of water, so the first one can't take any more. Well, how come they can't take any more? Because it's pretty much destroyed the pores. Soil has pores. That's how water passes through soil. And when you smear those pores, close them up, that's it. They're not coming back. So that's why I prefer an equal system over the hillside system. But it's complete personal preference. I don't even know if you agree.
I don't really have a preference, but just
We're not allowed that.
for reference, it's probably about 50-50 on what the guys want to do.
Yeah, it's whatever you're installing, whatever you guys want. Perfectly legal. Nobody's going to pronounce it anymore. I don't like it.
And some site modifications that, I don't know if you're gonna get into that later, require that the system be an equal flow pipe. So
Right.
you've got no choice.
Heavy clay. You're in a heavy clay, you're not allowed to use this. But anyway, that's how a hillside box system works. Fills up, saturates, can't take another drop, goes back in the box, water level rises, step down. So if you're on the last line, as soon as it's coming up out top, good beat. So what are you gonna do? Nowhere else to step down to. So you're gonna have to put in more. Anybody got any questions? That's fancy water level. And that's what a hillside system. Here's why hillside systems were invented. Here's why people should use it. It's when you're on a lot with crazy content. Okay. Like earlier I was talking about how I was like this thing was up here. What if that thing broke? Kind of crazy. In the span, that's what it says. You might not be able to get for 100-foot line. You might not have that ability due to the way the land is. So what they'll do is just giggles, let's say you need 200 feet. So you might have a 100-foot line. I lost my contour, and you can put in a 25-foot line and a 50-foot line, another 25-foot line. They can be different lengths. Hillside systems, the lines can be all different lengths, even flow, they have to be the same. It turns out to be the same amount of footage, just in a different configuration. Not quite sure why the guy got married there. All right, this is a hillside box in the wild. And this, I'm hoping there's a better picture in here, but that's what a leaching chamber is. It's just a black half circle with louvers on the sides. That's where the water leaches out. But the top is soft. Nothing, so nothing can get down in it and mask that absorption area that. And then if you put these things in, this is how we put them in. We put them in where the burial, if this is rock or leaching chamber, whichever one, the very top is set at the exact elevation at the bottom of this. So now, see, that's gonna take water, it's gonna back up into the box and spill over. And if you put them in wrong, see, look how high the bottom of that outlet is to the top of the trench. It's pretty big. That means the water is gonna come out on top of the ground. So I know, yep, the water level is gonna fill up that bed. And you know, oh no, I'm full, I can't take another drop. So how's it gonna get back in that box? Man, it's not, it can't go uphill on its own. So that's when you get that happen. That's a very simple thing, happens every day. They put them in at the wrong elevations. This happens. And believe it or not, as simple as it is to explain, if you guys understand seeing that, it's very hard to diagnose. You almost have to dig the system up and get the laser out and start measuring. So when they do that, it's a problem. I'm not gonna get into the weeds and talk about pipes and all that. Has anybody got any questions so far? These are leaching chambers. Hillside box, leaching chambers. Remember, this is solid on top, and the water leaks out the side. There's a better picture. That's what I actually took. That's an Eastern. I don't want to get deep into the weeds. This is what a septic system looks like. This is a rock system, but it could be a chamber system. They're the same. They're installed the exact same way. So we've got a 200-foot length of lines. That's as long as you can go. I'll be honest, that's about 80. Somebody was trying to make. I couldn't find a picture of 200-foot lines on the slide there. That's about 80 feet. I'm going to say it's 200. And then we're going to have 8 feet in between the sides of these lines. Okay, and it looks like those are 2 foot wide rock ladder lines with 18 in between. That's probably 3 feet wide. So they're as long as you need them, up to 200 feet, and go longer than 200. You're gonna have about 8 feet in between them, and that's just what they look like. And this is what it looks like if we sword and cut through one, and you're looking at it inside the sword. You got your 6 inches of rock. Now, leaching chambers don't have any. Leaching chambers are just this. They're just plastic absolutes. They go right on top of there. There's no pipe, nothing. So this is a rock system. It's 2 feet wide. You got 6 inches of gravel. You got your 4-inch perforated pipes. Obviously, it's got holes in it. And we'll put 4 inches of straw on the top of that. So when they backfill, that soil doesn't get down in the rock and be a clogger. Does that make sense? So that's why we put the straw on. So then we backfill it, and that straw, say 4 inches, smashes down. So it's not a problem at all. And it lasts an incredibly long time. Yes, sir. Yeah. Yeah, I kind of flew through there when it's going to be fine. That one, the next one. All right, what's your question? No, sir. No, the fair's a problem. And there's a reason. Because there's something called BOP. And I'm not about it, but it's how much oxygen is available in the water to sustain them. And when you add sewage to that, so that's why. But now we do have a system that is basically the pond. There's total again, Stone Age technology, works like yes, sir. 5 square feet surface area for every gallon of water that would be assigned. It's a sad. So ours is 110 gallons of water a day. Okay. So 330 per day. And then we take that, so you multiply that by 5, and that gives you the surface area of the student unit. The difference in a pond, lagoons are made for what they're used for. They have very steep sides, very steep. And so that allows, also, mosquitoes lay their eggs. That's the first question I get asked. Yeah. But what they do is they lay their eggs on the side, and fall down to the bottom, and pressure smashes. This sounds like bullcrap, I understand. Yeah. But I've been, take your nose and put it almost in the water. You will not swim. All the poop, waste, and all that stuff is at the bottom, and the pressure, the smell down there, and that's where all magic happens. Then the bacteria get to working on it, the bacteria in the water, the bacteria itself, and it eats food. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it, I don't know what I'm talking.
It does go through a septic tank before it gets to the lagoon.
Yeah, it also goes through tanks and everything like that. All the solids getting out of the lagoon settle at the bottom will not. Now, have that. They meant the best for the farmer. They weren't trying to screw it up. Farmers will throw a fountain and anything over about 2 ounces. So I've seen them have these nice lagoons, and they'll throw a fountain in there. It stirs everything up, and it causes terrible Satan odors and gets lots of phone training. But if you just leave those jokers alone, they work just fine. I've got one in Paducah, 225,000 square feet. One lagoon. And I didn't sleep months when I put it down. It works just fine. The only problem they ever had is bitch flies. That wasn't anything to do with the sewage within. I was a happy God. Everybody knows what bitch flies are. Born, they live 3 days, they die, they don't even have mouths. Go ahead, Bob.
One local thing I'd like to point out about lagoons, what we're talking about is in our district, we have a local ordinance that requires 5 acres to install a lagoon. And then that is also, you have to have the right type of soil to do a lagoon. You have to have clay soil versus some of the other soil we have.
We have a lot of this in this area.
Not so much in the three counties, there's several in Grant County.
Harrison County, Scott County, and Central Kentucky, a little sloppy. Central Kentucky, they have a lot of very heavy clays. Soil that won't absorb water. How lagoons work is they what am I thinking? Evaporate. That's what they're called, evaporation. So that's how they disperse evaporation. So if you've got just sun-baked area with heavy clays, oh God, it's gonna work. Okay. Downside of lagoons, neighbors hate it. It's lipstick on a pig. It is a giant pond of food. There's no way around it. So, given this audience I'm speaking to today, to be honest, for your profession, probably should stay away from it. Because people hate them like the burning heat of the soup.
Lagoons usually typically only come into play on ground that doesn't hurt, is that correct?
Yes, sir. They're incredibly space conservative. They blow them up. Eastern Kentucky, little sliver of Central Kentucky, far western, but it's heavy.
We get a lot of them in Grant County. One, the soil mass for regular system, and two, usually what we're dealing with larger size property. So they can tuck them away down kind of in the woods where they don't necessarily have to know they're there, and they work wonderful.
All right, I'm gonna, ma'am, if you don't mind, I'm gonna get to something I think they'd want to hear. Is that cool? I'm afraid we're gonna run out of time. All right. This is just showing you some of the, yeah, I'll show you the good picture. The one. These are different structures of soil we got in Kentucky. Perfect, great, terrible, and worse. All right. This one and this one, terrible. These are the restrictive horizons we're talking about. Has anybody ever heard the word fragile? Nobody? All right, thank you. You've heard of it. This is a fragile. I'm gonna make a confession. I've stood on the side of hundreds of, I'm gonna pick us, hundreds of backhoe pits. And everybody's like, see the prisons? Yeah. Never saw them one time. I had no idea. And then got lucky as you could get one day in Graves County. That's where they mined played the space shuttle, or the old space shuttles. So they were the Soil Conservation Office excavating this like archaeology. They dug down and found the frangipane. They cleaned it off. They swept it off with brooms. So that is what a frangipane looks like. If you're like looking down at the pattern on the carpet right now, that's you looking straight down. It's probably 8 feet wide, and we're probably 3 feet deep. But that's what it looks like. These are the prisms. They always say it's prismatic. This right here, that's a prism. No water's going through this. Squattish. But there's a fracture of weakness in these things. And see this? That's where the water's going down. The water is draining through the sides of the prism. I mean, any sense at all. Because this, you can get in the weeds and stuff. Bob and I are kind of nerds. But this, when you have a client that has to put a 6-inch deep system in, more than likely that's the filter we're trying to get. Okay. Because if you put water on top of that, 100% it's going. It's just a matter of time. It could be a week, it could be a month, don't fail. So when you hear a health department, if you or a client say, hey, you got to put 6 inches deep, 10 inches deep, we're trying to stay off. Okay. I'm gonna shimmy on down to the cluster systems. Oh, let me go over this real quick. Here's us. Sorry, Jake, you're not on here yet. At the time of this drawing, there was only 3 of us. That's me. That's now Jake. And this is a guy named Dwight in Eastern Kentucky. We hired a girl somewhere in here, but she's not really trained up yet. But we're the state people. Like I said, you guys get ticked off about something, or if you just got a question about something, call us. We are non-partial. I swear to you, we are. Take it very seriously. If you think you're getting a raw deal from your health, then call us. And if they're wrong, we will have something to come. Okay. Doesn't happen very often. Yes, sir.
Question is.
Sounds like a Lisa Jane. Now, depends on your question. You talk about this fit one in, obviously, you can spend $30,000 for your irrigation system. And yeah, that would be better. I've got that in my presentation. It takes sewage, straight disgusting sewage, and it looks like the water in that bottle. It treats it aerobically, or it treats it with different kinds of bacteria. There are a lot of different mediums, okay? There is a peat moss. There's just straight oxygenated water. There's going blank, aerosol. There's all kinds of coconut husks. There's all kinds of stuff they run this through till it comes out looking like water. And that is super absorbable. So to answer your question, if you're unlimited pockets, you can't get any better than an advanced treatment system. And it takes it down to looking like that drink. Yeah. Please, Jay. Right. Yeah.
So, you know, somebody don't.
Okay. There's a straight septic tank and a leaching chamber, probably your best option. Now, somewhere in the middle of that, something called a wetland cell, and we blow those up in Western Kentucky around the lakes. Space conserved. Y'all have, how many lakes do y'all have? Very few. Not enough. Oh, so you can't throw a baseball in Western Kentucky. Like, And they sell tons of what we do. When we got a quarter acre, and half that's on Lake County. We do what's called wetlands. If I have time, I'll dig up a picture for you. If you want to write your email down and give me your card, I will send you everything you need. It won't be yes, it'll be ones I've done. They're a rectangle. Okay, I'm gonna go real fast. I'm gonna say 3 words and half the room stop listening. Above ground system. Okay. Now half of you are back on your phones. Yes, sir. Thank you. but here's how they work. You're gonna have a rectangle, right? 18-inch deep rectangle. It's gonna be lined with the heavy plastic, filled with rock. It's bordered with railroad ties. It's probably okay. Every 5 square feet, you're gonna plant a water absorbing plant. 90% of these things are cattails. Okay, but I can give you any local environment, give you a list that long, tiger lilies and all this other stuff. And I've seen people make it look like this. But anyway, every 5 square feet, water absorbing plant. So the sewage is going to go through a 2-quart tank and a filter, and then it goes in the wetland cell. Just kind of fills out, works its way through that rectangle. It's not instant. Well, what's in there? What's in there are large rocks, a couple inches maybe, a little bigger if any, on top of each other. These things don't lay in there like bricks, right? There's a void in between those rocks. Roger that. In those voids are billions of bacteria that are supercharged by the air, oxygen, and it just mows through sewage. I mean, mows through. So by the time your sewage is chilling out, working its way through the rectangle, it comes out the other end. Doesn't look like drinking water, but it's noticeably clean. Ooh, it depends on where you're at. Nowhere near 30,000. It's going to be more. I don't know why. You take a video. Again, just forget it. If you needed 200 feet of lateral, can you do a wetland cell? You get 50% reduction in your lateral. That's why we Western Kentucky. What? They're talking about hillside. That's exactly what they're talking about. There's 3 lines. Actually, I guess it'd be 4 lines. 3 boxes. You don't need a box in this class. Good question. Yes, sir.
I didn't think leaf lines were bad. The reason I can't grow grass. I thought so.
Yeah.
Still there.
I mean, there's less cover. Great question. There's less cover soil on a leaching chamber. There's 6 inches of cover soil on a leaching chamber, 12 inches on the product. And the problem's not the leaching chambers, it's the heat. It heats up. You ever notice that big brown brick that you got in your yard in the summer? Because the heat, that concrete absorbing heat spreads through, turn the roots up, grass on top. Same thing with your leaching. So yeah. Now you know you can take your soil down, okay, extension office. You know that? Not everybody in this room needs to know it. You know what I'm talking about? We don't have extension office. Before I shoot my mouth off, getting a lot of trouble. Can they still bring soil samples to you guys?
Absolutely, but you take it to your county.
Thank you, her. No, thank you, ma'am. No, what she's saying is, that this is a great thing for you guys to tell your clients. Gentleman back here is having trouble growing grass, it happens everywhere. And so you can actually take a soil sample to your local city, and they'll look at the soil, test it, whatever they do, and they'll tell you what kind of fertilizer. Right? They'll tell you what type.
Well, we're agents, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Thanks. Good. Did catch your name. Yes, ma'am. Guys, if you wouldn't mind answering that. Did you get that? Okay, great. Yeah, that's an incredibly useful thing for people in this. Because, you know, somebody, I bet everyone wanted somebody votes. It's incredible what you can get done in CPA extension. They're incredible. Got any burning questions? Have to be done by 6:45, right? All right, I've got way too many slides. Okay, go ahead, Bob. So now we're going to get to what they, some information that from locals, just local stuff around here. All right, Bob, go ahead.
All right, so I'll just go over a few things about our site evaluations. Right now, they're $300. We usually, once we get the application, be out there within about 2 weeks. One thing you got to watch, so when you read a site evaluation, is on the overall classification. Most of them are going to say provisionally. So there's 3 categories: suitable, provisionally suitable, and unsuitable. And most of them that pass are going to say provisionally suitable. But it's very rare in northern Kentucky that we get a site that is overall just 100% suitable in every aspect of all the evaluation factors. Or it could say provisionally suitable with modifications. And that's what Chris was talking about earlier. Might be an extra bell or whistle like a filter, 2-compartment septic tank, or like we do a lot of curtain drain. That's just an extra component of the septic system that helps us overcome some of our lot limitations. Like I said, our sites are $300 right now.
Yeah, I should have made that bigger, Bob. I apologize. Installation permit, $50. Cluster system, $600. We'll go over that. And state portion, excuse me. Your permit here is $370. Site evaluation is $300, and existing system inspection is $200.
Yeah, we do existing septic system inspections. We do them for real estate transactions. We don't necessarily like to because our inspection is very basic. We don't have very much tools to really get an idea of what's going on there. We got a 42-inch probe. We go, we locate what we can, try to determine what size tank it is, locate the leach field, determine how much leach field is there. Is it working or is it not? And a lot of times we can't find it. You know, if it's deep, it's old, just can't find it. You know, small. You know, a lot of our, we deal with realtors saying, well, I need something saying that this system is to code. Well, when the system was installed, they may not have been code. You know, so that run into that a lot. We also do them for like room additions, or if you have a piece of property with an existing system that the existing home may have burnt down, or it's a mobile home type situation where they're upgrading, you know, taking an old one off and putting the new one back, or taking an existing mobile home off and building a particular house. We'll do an existing septic to make sure it's working fine for that. And our 4 counties are pretty strict about getting building permits and stuff, so they need something from us, either that existing septic saying it's okay to use, or they'll issue a building permit for a residence that's on the septic system. They need to make sure that we have permit to put in a septic system so that we don't have a house midway through construction and then we do the site evaluation to find that we don't have a real good option for septic systems. We get that in the bug right off the bat.
Okay, thanks, Bob. This is where our profession and your profession, this is the only time we kind of cross swords, is these existing inspections. Fannie Mae, FHA, VA, all those first time or home government funded home loans, they'll require existing inspections. Somebody say it. Sometimes. Okay, I don't mind. I thought they were paying. But the problem with these is you can go blind trying to look up Bob and I's regulations. They're interested, no worry. So like, Green River District Health Department, Health Department don't even do them. They sub it out. Great. Because I'll be honest, health, because they're usually with different prices. And it's really not worth their time to do it, and you get in all kinds of trouble. So I can go ahead and tell you, I'm the one that trains all your environmentalists. Here's what I tell them: take your probe, find the tank. If you can't find the tank, make them dig it up. If they can't find the tank, then you use septic system. If you find the tank, walk around and look for surfacing sewage. If there's not any, we're gonna write down, is there a septic tank? Yes. No surfacing sewage at the time of inspection, we're out. So, and I don't mind this, because most of the time, guys, everybody who understands this, nobody's in the house. So how the heck do we know if it's working or not? We have no clue if it's working or not, because it's not under, there's no water. So we're gonna cover our rear ends on that, I can guarantee you. We're gonna write tank located, no surface sewage time inspection, and we're driving on. So don't look for an in-depth report on what's there.
Like Chris said, at time of inspection, these existing inspections, just a snapshot of when we're there that day, is it working or not? I mean, it's no guarantee that, hey, I had this inspected by the health department 2 years ago, and now I've got sewage on top of the drain.
Right.
So we do them, but we don't really care to do them.
We don't want to do it. We're not lying, we only do it for laziness. It's just a really easy way for us to get in trouble. So I don't need, I want you guys to not lean on that. Hey, you're good to go. You know. Now, we walk around and sewage everywhere we can't find tank, then we can tell you, hey man, they ain't got septic. We're sure about that. But we really don't know. Yes, ma'am. Yes, thank you for the question. That is 1986. And I'm getting ready to retire. But that's when this program started. Before that, Wild West. Different stories. Very trash can, they're using the tank. That's real, not since 1986. So that stuff's still out there. We just got to find it. We will do. So yes, the health department since 1986. I give those guys when they first started, because like if Bob got hired, I would send Bob to University of Kentucky for 1 week of advanced soils morphology classes. It's hard. He's got to pass that. Then he's going to Frankfurt for a week, classroom instruction on this basic law stuff. Then I'm going to take him out the field personally and wear him out 5 times, big holes all over. Then he's got to go to another 1 week training where he passes everything into the field and on paper. So the training is incredible. Now, let's go back to your environmentalists in 1886. You know what they got? A dude from Frankfurt like me showed up with Ray and said, any questions? I swear to God, that's what they did. And they're like, no, I'm good. I'm just qualified. So I give those guys a break. But technically, since about 1986, we should have a record. If it's been in the last 20 years, I'm 45, it's going to be. Go ahead.
And we do have records. We started the database in '89. So we got definitely for sure our database 89 to present. Now that we might have 88 to 86, but they're just in a box. And manually have to file the paperwork. And most of the time, I don't go back to that age, there was no address. It's like Burlington Pike. That was the address. So you got to match up the original homeowner, maybe the year the home was built. You know,
In Warren County, we have a giant box that said phone number. Sweet. So yeah, thanks, Bob. Now, somebody else had a question. Does that answer your question, ma'am? Okay, yes, sir.
Bob, so when somebody is ready for a site evaluation, will you go on what they need to do as far as they maybe locate property where it's overgrown, needs to be mowed, such like that?
yeah, good question.
That's a great question.
I brought a copy of our application for a site evaluation. I just brought one. I thought I did. I'm seeing it here. I sure did, but on our application, you can get all these applications on our website. It will say on there, things to do like. Needs to be mowed, I believe that's. It'll say property lines need to be staked, house needs to be staked, and all that kind. On the back, the direction, it's not easy to find. And there's also a place for somebody that needs to meet us when we do that. They can check, yeah, they would like to meet us, no problem, or they just don't want to, it's gonna be an easy one or something, so they can find that.
Yeah, thanks. I had a.
More importantly, they are backup pits. And I want to explain that, Bob. Are y'all backup pits on?
We do not, we can request.
Okay. Yeah. Everything's changed. Locals are pretty much king of their age. Just kind of call balls and strikes. Some districts is not a backup pits only. I'm not a big fan of that, most people find it. But like here in Northern Kentucky, where Bob's in charge, Bob goes out to the site evaluation. My man's got a 3-inch auger. If he hits a rock, he can then make a $30,000 mistake for you. So when they call for backup pits, please don't think it's out of laziness. Stupid younger worker. I figured I've heard 1,000. It's not that we're too lazy to go out there and turn it on. If we hit a rock this big, that stops our auger. You have to call it a rock. Now you're putting in a 6-inch deep system, 20 grand. So with Bob and these guys, and anywhere you're from, actually, if they call for a backup pit, that's why they're doing it. Or they're looking to solve their super needs. And it's really hard to screw up the backup pit. I mean, standing in it, right? So that's why they call it backup. Anybody else?
Bob, this is a question for you in addition to what Greg asked. Once they apply for a permit, you go out there and do the site evaluation. During the whole process, are you inspecting the process first of all, make sure that what you approved is being installed properly? And then once it's completed, do you go out there and I guess do a certificate of occupancy, make sure it's all flush, all that stuff?
Oh, yes, here's what happens. So do the site evaluation, give them, show some system options, the contractor or installer come and propose the system that we usually will give them a couple options if they've got some. We'll propose a system, we'll write a permit. Okay, so the permit's good for a year, so it's new construction. A lot of times it takes 6-8 months to build a house in. So it gets to the time to put the septic in, yes, install, we'll call our department most of the time, it will be me, if it's Boone County. And I will put what we call for is there, and it's not damaged, it's put into the they've done everything they've been asked.
I got you. Sweet. All right, remember earlier I talked about that advanced treatment, okay? It's gonna blow your mind. But I'm gonna fly through this and get the highlights. I really want to get the plus considered my audience here, because I think you'll find that. That is an actual picture that I took. So I know that's not a fake picture. We were at a place with a big plot where they put in one of those advanced treatment units I was telling you about. One on the left is raw sewage, dipped right out of the septic. One in the middle is the tertiary level, as it's going through the treatment process. And the one on the right is what comes out the end of that advanced treatment. Now, you don't have to be a scientist to understand which one of the water is stored fast. Not hard to do. Okay? But that's advanced treatment. It absolutely says what they say it does. They go through a very rigorous approval process. Point that they cannot become everything with the Son of God for these things. And we approve them, you can rest assured they have been run. So they get their designation from the EPA, they've got private companies who do testing on facilities, they have to submit all that to us, and then we're still they try to find something wrong. And the reason we do that is not that we think it's cool. We don't want to hang a Kentucky homeowner some fly by night. These things are like $20,000. So we don't want anybody to say file one. We have to look at it, not work. Okay. Again, not being jerks, just trying to get everybody squared away. But what this is called is advanced pre-treatment, and the key word of this is secondary quality. That's the EPA designation. I'm not gonna go into the chemistry, but let me know if you do it like, everyone on the right, that's secondary quality. And I'll blow your mind, Cincinnati, people understand. I'm a big wetland cell fan, iron, right? So then I can tell, do you know there's a wetland cell research center in Cincinnati? I can't believe I didn't. Even- So I'm at a symposium somewhere in San Diego, and this dude mentioned that he was speaking. I'm like, bro, Cincinnati. So yeah. So I took a little trip up there, and he walked me through the spec he gave me. It's incredible how these things work. Not all of them, not half of them, not some of those wetland cells, cattails, rock, come out sick. I never would have believed it in a million years if I hadn't gone to Cincinnati. I'll get you that kind of stuff. I went up to Cincinnati and he showed it to me. I could not believe some of those wetland cells. There's no electrical power there. It's rock, bacteria, and cattails. Complicated stuff. All right. Aerobic treatment is just interjecting aerobic bacteria. A septic tank is an anaerobic. I'm screwed. I am. So aerobic bacteria, septic tanks are anaerobic, no oxygen. So then when you put aerobic bacteria, you introduce air to the system, it goes crazy, like on gasoline on fire. Okay, those aerobic bacteria in what's truly an anaerobic environment just fires through all that stuff and makes it look clear. Okay, why would you ever consider one of these things? There's really only one to really want space concern. Because we do these almost never in gravity, leaching chamber, mineral current. What we do with these now, it goes in a 1/4 inch drip irrigation tin. That big. No, half inch drip irrigation tin. And you loop them, you put them very close to each other. I'll have a picture here in a minute. So the footprint of these things is fantastically small. And they treat it at very high level. I'm trying to find it. Thought I had a drip system, but I don't. But the reason they're so cool is you remember the ladder lines are all 8 feet apart. These things are 18 inches apart. Okay. And you can, they're 1/2 inch tubes, no gravel, nothing. They put them in with a plow. They literally just have a plow and a giant wheel full of tubes. And it's like farmer plant the back, push that plow, and it just rolls those tubes in there 6 inches deep. No matter what your soil is, they want it 6 inches deep. Because they do operate off evaporation. Okay, so anyway, something to think about. You don't got to be an expert. Just advanced treatment. Go back if you ever have a lake lot. And there's not a lot, but there are some people out around now that are just so into the green thing. They love it. They'll do it for fun. You get these communes, green folks, a bunch of Western Kentucky. They absolutely love this. They do it. Giggles, they'll do advanced treatment, wetland cells, all that stuff. They think it's cool. We want to build. All right, this is kind of what I really want to go over with you guys. I'm sorry, I'm running out of time. So, decentralized cluster system, something I'm trying to scream from mountaintops. Really, I think these things will make you guys a lot of money. Before I start this, let me tell you why are these so great? They're so great because you guys can play. You build more houses. And here's what's great to me and Bob. They come to us, state. This area, go to Jake, West, you go to me, you go to the plan, fine to come. Okay, we're going to make sure there's money there. I know this is terrible. Everybody knows what it is I'm about to talk about. They have to have a management entity. The Cadillac of a management entity. Water district, your local municipality, electrical company, I don't care. And they'll figure out how much it costs to maintain the system and repair the system. And they'll come up with a number for a monthly sewer bill. Then they have to get that ran through the Public Service Commission. And once the PSC approves their rates, then they just collect money from homeowners as their sewer bill. Now they're responsible. They have to do all the maintenance, everything. Fix it if it breaks, their baby. But so that's why we like it, because we know there's plenty of space there. We know 2 or 3 different eyes of seeing. We know there's money available if everything's fixed. Okay? The reason you guys love these things systems, you can literally go 50 lots, 300 lots. Like that. So, half acre here, right, Bob? I hear you say that, give a minimum lot size. No, you don't, okay. Let's just talk about Boone. 1 acre minimum lot, that's a lot of ground. Put 5 systems on. So. Huh?
It's 1 acre lot.
Okay, yeah, they're planning and zoning do that, not us. So you get so many houses on there, you can triple the amount of houses you put in a subdivision. We know it's being taken care of. Oh, there's a maintenance plan has to be approved through us. So we know not only that, it's getting maintained. Tanks are getting pumped, because we can set all that standard. Everybody's tank's gotta get pumped every 2 years. You know, this has got to be, this, if it's a lagoon, they got to cut around the lagoon. You know, they got to weed eat out there. Anything they need done is done. So, but no, that's the Cadillac, local municipality or something like that. Fortunately, well, I'm not gonna say unfortunately, because it allows us to do this. Homeowners associations can form what's called a sewer association, encapsulated by the HOA, written consent, and they can be in charge of this. Now, I'll be honest, I'm not trying to offend anybody. I thought I was screaming from the mountaintops, HOAs, HOA. And then I started doing this for 15 years. People start going to jail. We're stealing all the money in the sewer association. Something goes wrong, they go to fix it, and they're like, hey, salary. Seriously, I have like long time. But anyway, so they're kind of a nightmare. Now, if you got a squared away HOA, super active, really serious about taking care of the wastewater system, it's gonna work fine. But most of the time, they don't work. That being said, if you turn one into us, and the management entity is an HOA with the sewer board associated into it, we're gonna do this. And then we go back to the treatment, but if you take care of it, don't. And we're gonna come in, we make them set up creek counts. We make them set up one general maintenance, pumping tanks, filters, things of that nature. In major repairs, like a big part of the line's gone bad or something like that. The third account is called a sinking fund. And all the monies that go into that sinking fund, they can't touch that until Bob, the local, not me, the local environmentalist has to sign off on them accessing that money. So at the very least, we know that money. The other two, maybe. Probably not. Most of them. All right, so cluster just means decentralized. Cluster system means the same thing. It's got advantages and disadvantages. I'm going to show you. Okay, that is a centralized big pipe here. Okay, millions and millions of dollars. This is what I was talking about earlier. Taking water from here, using it here, and you're disposing of it way down there. Okay, big pipes are effective. Okay. So cluster system. Now, here's the legal definition. That might be important for you guys. Legal definition: 2 or more homes using the same septic system. 2 or more separate apartment buildings using the same. You got an apartment building with 8 apartments. Single person. 6 apartments. Okay, one building. You can put one septic system in, all 6 of those apartments, not a question. Not a problem. I can do that here locally. Okay. If you got 2 apartment buildings or 2 single family dwellings, 2 homes connected to the same septic system, now we get the triple wire cluster system. The only time that comes into effect really families get tangled and fighting, and they make some handshake go over Bob and Judy, their septic system here. Bob and Judy figure out they hate each other, so they go to court. It gets really nasty. So you're not allowed to do the same thing with clusters. Engineer has to do it. Professional engineer, licensed in the state of Kentucky, sign the plan and put their stamp on it. Then it comes to me. Unfortunately, I have nothing to do with it. It's a $600 fee for me to review the plan. And then after that, it goes back to your local health department and they'll handle it from there. Not a cluster system, mobile home park. That's one permitted. So you could have a canless trailer park, 500 trailers all on one system, not a cluster system. The Edwards Trailer Park's right next door. We combine cluster system. Okay, but for everybody in this room being realtors, primarily owned homes, 2 homes or more, 2 up to 1,000, I don't care, cluster system. Not bad. Great. And I'll go one further, Jake, pick me up after this is over. I don't mind a bit. I mean, if you guys are trying to do this and you're getting pushback from local governments, I don't mind a bit. I'm not lying to the truth. I don't mind a bit to come to a hearing, whatever you need to explain this, because they're not going to use that hearing. All right, so all these apartments together, not a cluster. Would you combine this and this? Cluster. All right, EPA even said that these were not just quick fixes, temporary fixes. Because they did for years, because it was temporary, they used them to get rid of it. And then they went back and did a deep dive, mostly because of the situation in North Georgia and Chattanooga. That they were like, wait a minute, these things are actually cool, they last. This is part of nobody wants to hear. Unfortunately, this would be taken. It's really one. Okay, there's 3 different management options: HOA, a certified private utility, and public utility. Anybody in this room want to make a bunch of money and they're good with excavators? Be the first ever certified private utility in Kentucky. There's not one. There's EP Brothers out of Tennessee, are past, they're certified in the state. Okay, that's it. I don't know why nobody's done it. I've got 15 just home that are gigantic. And they could be making all the money off the sewer bills and everything. Most of them borrow Western purchase. Most of them are good. What are you gonna do to maintain what it is? Why you just pull around? End of the day, you're just collecting money. Something to think about. Or you can go to a public utility or certified private utility. Like I said, one in the state of Kentucky, temporarily in Tennessee, or having for 50 years, may not be doing. And a public utility, that's the best way. HOA, these are the accounts I was talking about: routine maintenance, major repair, and sinking fund. And we're pretty serious about that. If we go to the bank to access that money, Bob has to go down there, sign off, and there's no money in that account, somebody in that bank's control. Because they're not supposed to release any of that money to that HOA unless the local signs off. It's a pretty good thing. I'm gonna skip you back, they don't really exist, or to go back. This is kind of what they look like now. Spoiler alert, I'm lying. This is not questions. But this is what it looks like. This is camp for conduct. Do you have any idea what that is? Somewhere in the state, right? Yeah, somewhere in the state. But it's called Camp Recondo, and they had some massive sewage problems. But what I'm saying is, this is what a cluster system is. They're gigantic. Like that's all advanced treatment heat moss. That's filled with what's called sphagnum moss from iron. And whereas if this was your house, guys, you would have like half this, and that's it. But this is a giant thing like a cluster system would be, so they just got a bank of them all lined up. And they're getting ready to plumb them, and everything goes through every single one of those modules on its way out. This is in Elizabethtown. This is in Elizabethtown, out by the country club. Okay, they've got drip irrigation, they've got 2 zones. So for all these houses here, it's some high dollar stuff. They put in these 2 zones for septic systems. That's it. So what it does is it's automatically, these things are space age. It goes through the pre-treatment, goes through a converter, and it'll dose here till like 3 o'clock. And then it'll stop, and it'll dose here for another 4 or 5 hours. And it'll alternate between the fields. And the bigger, more houses you got, the more zones you got. We have 10 zones. And these things are so high tech. They literally have like a little guardhouse, guard shack, what you want to call it. And if something goes wrong, it sends a text to the maintenance provider. Hey, you're selling like that. Something of that nature. It's crazy how it works. Now, this one up here is the one I worked on. That's Coppersmith Cove. That's just phase 1 of Coppersmith Cove. And look at all these lots. Okay, all those lots are $65,000 a piece. And he was selling half acres for $65,000 a piece. He is now sold out. of 1/4 acre lots for $65,000 a piece. Because they put in a septic system. See that yellow up there? That little half circle? That's septic. That's it. He did advanced treatment and drip irrigation. So look how many houses there. Come on, I'm getting that. Maybe that's all. I think that's cool. I may have made a bet. Excuse me? Great question. That's around 100 acres. He's gonna put, that's just basic. There's gonna be 350, I think, homes all together. That one little half circle, yes, ma'am. Now, we make sure like above that, that is designated for repair area, just in case. You gotta remember, this is advanced treatment and drip. It's that bottle of water, into half inch tick, it's not clogged up. So, like if, for any reason that happens, we've got space there to put a new drip field in. That's phase one. There's 4 phases altogether.
Question cost, is there a certain number of lots that they can price break for us that cost much?
Great question. Of course, that's awesome. We never asked, that's how we stick check. Very seriously. I literally didn't tell you how much septic systems are.
Got a feeling 20 years, 5 lots, even consider.
No,
It's when you're in the 100.
you said 21 acres, 25.
Correct.
No, I'm talking 21 acres.
So should we even consider?
No, absolutely not. You can get the same thing out of septic system. Thank you. Everybody understand that? That's a y'all's. Awesome. Thank you. Really good custom thunder right there. Yeah, the top one is mine. Or that's that. The ones that each other nice. Those are mansions. Thank you. Yes, sir.
But, yeah.
I'm sorry. What? Yeah, if you want to get more houses, like he wasn't in a house every 1/4 acre. Yeah, you could do that. I honestly, Frank, don't understand why. Because you satisfy a fraction of the cost. It would say,
It says equal on half of the quarters, it's set.
they would, that's a different story. That- Yeah, you can, don't get me wrong. But nothing, like this. You can do this with 2,000. Yes. But I'm telling you, exactly. No, I'm gonna tell you, so long 225 has something. Yeah, well, we've done it. One place I know that doesn't that big, and they local health departments like Bob recently said, moratorium. This bad problem. Bad problems, literally critters burrowing through the dams and they're leaking really bad. It's disgusting. Yeah, you're exactly right. And so the local health department, then they had the really old ones that had like fence. We make them use 6 foot non-conforming fence pot gates and we're fanatically because they are dangerous. Won't believe me if I tell you. So you hear about me up, they not walk around. Giants did that. And he found 20 in the earthworm holder, pop cans, beer cans, campfires. It's like, what I will tell you which county. I think on this. We had a county in Western Kentucky. Shouldn't tell this, but I'm going to. The idiot principal of the school, they had good size looking. This principal thought it'd be funny. He got a diving pool went out. Yeah. He put it over there and do it as a joke, not funny. Is put through the wire, nobody knew it, they just plugged it back, and they were the first one to do it. Luckily, diving for the attachment. So the first kid to do it was hit it and be straight in the water. That was bad, really bad. So yeah, not a really funny joke, but the first one. I'm pretty sure he got hit. All right, so that's just gonna, and this is gonna break down. I'm gonna shut up. Got like time for questions, right, man? I got 2 minutes. So this is what the drip tubing looks like. Okay, that top. All right, there's one air release valve. It's at the highest elevation of the pot, and that just keeps it from. You get a hammer of water, it gets rid of the water, it suck vacuum, it doesn't create vacuum, it sucks dirt in through the holes in the drip tube. So that's what that air release valve does. You want to know how? I'm just kidding. I know that's what it does, I'm not quite sure. They're all pumped, they all dosed. This is actually, we set this up at Kentucky Cattle Center. Remember that, Bob? Before we lost it? But we set this up on top of the ground. That's what a drip system looks like. That's from the cattle training center. And you can even see, can everybody make that out? It's literally a drip. It's just a drop. That's how it comes in. It just kind of eases out of the emitter over time. But that's what they look like. That's a control box. That's actually the one I was talking about at Lake Park. A lot of sleepless nights for that difference. Then they put that whole dang on system in. First builder in bottom line called me. They didn't put any taps on the main line. It was just blank pipe. I'm like, hey, no. That's what a drip build looks like right there. That's a little different animal. That's a drip build. Just got to take my word for it. The most important thing is that's the guy putting it in. That's it. They have a little thing that pushes, and I don't know what you call it. It's wow. And it just cuts like a 6 to 8 inch deep trench, and then they'll have that yeah, and then it's got a reel, that tubing on the back, and it just puts it in right as it digs it, and they just literally go in, kick dirt over the top. That's all there is to it. I ain't got time for that. It's boring anyway. All right. I flew through this. I had way too much. I had 98 slides. I tried to cut it down to what you guys actually be interested in or build a business. I will ask this: how many home inspectors do you have? That's what I usually talk. 1. Please don't open up the bathtub overnight and then call the health department and septic system failure. I'm not joking. It happens. So they put too much water on testing. They need to test it because we have no idea. But please do not open up the bathtub. Let it run over. All right, that's all I got. I appreciate y'all. Now, any questions you got for me, Bob, Jake, anybody, just fire away. Yes, ma'am. It depends on where you're at. I just give you one about 4 for rural Western County, long range 7, and that's block and pipe, no extra curtain drain, I'll cover soil. That's 7 grand. Right, Chris? That won't touch one here. But won't? Around here.
Basic, not much soil brought in. You're looking probably for 3-bedroom right around 10,000, 12,000.
It really jumps, but
And a lot of it depends on the site valuation itself. You're getting, an installer can give you a real price without reading the site evaluation to see what's going to be required of the system. It's going to be needs a filter, it needs curtain drain, it needs a bunch of topsoil brought in. So it's hard to give a price until site evaluation.
anything? Yes, sir.
What is the proper way to maintain a septic system? I've heard people say they put Red X in there, and people say they put bread in there. I've heard other people say they don't do anything.
Magic area, that's what we're in. Magic area. Absolutely is. The bacteria you put in the septic tank using the restroom is enough. If you really want to duke it up, maybe a small package of yeast. That will actually supercharge the bacteria. But Red X and all, it's all food. We can't regulate that, it's additive. So we can't come out and say, don't sell that, but it's magic fairy dust, it does nothing. Yeah. Could you hold on 1 second, man? The most important thing is that you pump your tanks every 3 to 5 years. That is the most important thing you can do to maintain your septic. Yeah.
It's not full.
We don't get pulled down and fill up that. The solids build up. Remember, I went out this in. When they start going out, it's good. It's going to go out and it's going to clog. It's going to build what's called a bow. Solid black living thing. It is 100% no water. So that happens when you get a lot of solids going out to your lateral. Pump your tank, solids go away. It gets a little crazy. Huh? You don't. But with a biomat,
Yeah.
can't be fixed. Put it in your line. Yes, sir. The weird thing is when you go through a family that's had a couple of rounds of strep throat, they pass the antibiotics through their body, it goes in their tank, kills the tank, kills all the bacteria in the tank, antibiotics do, and then that biomat I'm talking about really looks crazy. So that's kind of weird. Actually, I just mentioned it, I thought it was cool. Totally true. Yes,
I want to recommend just blindly every 5
yes.
years and measure
I
slides.
ain't 5 years, it's gonna have enough solid there. 5 years. And it's not just the solids, it's gonna have that scum layer on top that is pretty much the reason.
And it kind of depends on the size of the family. You've got several children or whatever, you might want to be worse than 3. If it's just you and wife or one kid, you might get away with stretching down to 5.
Yeah, he's correct. Okay, I skipped somebody. Was it you? Go ahead, I want to hear it. No, but it's hard, I'd say 40 years.
Like, yeah, I mean, I think we'll get a bit of problem for years old. Some,
It's crazy.
for whatever reason, find the best soil, best install equipment, they fail right away. Unknown reason.
Okay.
That's totally. Yeah, I can explain that. Yeah. Now, that's a pretty broad question. Like what the situation Bob just mentioned, somebody's lived there 6 months, 3 months, perfect soil, perfect installation, it's failing. You gotta leave it. Nobody in the room will believe me. 80% of the calls I go out on, people if they just spent $12,000 for septic system, don't work. I understand that. They gotta leave it.
How does that produce enough water?
It is absolute insanity. A pinlet, because everybody knows when you hear a toilet running, right? You don't have to hear it for it to be leaking. Here's how you check it. It's food color, not fluorescent dye. Because I did that. Has everybody been to Lost River? Bowling Green, everybody heard? Okay, I turned it fluorescent. Yeah, I had bound from Miami Beach, Frankfurt. Yeah, I used way too much dye across the street. And it was getting Bowling Green cars baby area. And it literally straight to the water. Straight, it's a huge dirt track. What we're talking about, it's an underground street, take a tour. I turned the whole thing fluorescent. But so don't use fluorescent, use food color. For those of you with kids, you got the stuff, crayon things you put that. You can use that. Anything is different colors, don't use fluorescent. Pour it in the tank. Do not flush the toilet. Do not touch it. Leave it alone for half an hour. Come back. If there's any dye whatsoever in the bowl, it's leaking. I don't know how to explain it to you. Now it takes a while. pin leak, but it can be a pin leak in perfect soil. If your toilets are leaking, it is going to flood you. Here's the good, news. Go and fix it. Unless you've let it go for years, then that, your pores smear. Water. Make sense? Back to you first.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, sir. Yeah, thank you for that question. No, that's how people like me. But I wish we could, I mean, I do, but that's strictly verboten. To answer your question, talk to Bill.
Would love to help. Maybe.
No, they better not. No, we would stay in court if we recommended starting. Anyway, this guy, I don't know. That's gonna get us in a lot of trouble. This guy's big.
We don't recommend anybody, somebody that hasn't gotten that far along, tell them that the best thing to do is to call the supply houses. You know, when now's why they get all the material, they can tell them who's doing the most work, who does a lot of work, who does little.
Yeah, but we can't, we have to stay away, you had the first part of that question. Okay, let me explain that. A filling weight is the ultimate nightmare. It's our ultimate, our second worst parachute. When we got no soil, soil's just terrible, zero. Actually, anything less than 18. Yeah, anything less than feet restriction, 0 through 17, you're about to do a filling. There's no, we can't get a big enough separation off that restriction to put something in. And if we do, again, 100%. So, filling weight. What we do is you install the size of the system that you want, whatever kind of system, and you'll fill that area up. It has to sit 1 year. Then after that year, your local health department will come out and re-examine the soil. And hopefully if everything's okay, then you can install. Next question is going to be why, right? It has to go through a shrink and a swell or a freeze and a thaw, soil itself. Once it's been through a shrink and a swell, freeze and a thaw, then we're fairly sure it's not going to just fall off the side. Okay, it's going to stay stationary. Now, granted, you need to sow it with a fast growing cup. Before you even start, you need to remove that top 2 inches so it don't slide. Okay, there's a lot to it. I don't but that's why we thank you for asking that question. Let's circle back. But filling weights are mine, yours, and your customers. Of course, not. Because you know, minimum.
Just for the soil.
Yeah. Depending on where you're at. Yeah. Oh, you had to do it? Well, I will promise you this. I don't know what county you were in. You were up here. Great environmental stuff here. I will guarantee you will beat their faces together trying to come up with any possible option. Because they sucks. I'm just going to speak for you. We don't enjoy it. We don't enjoy telling people, hey, nice house. See you in a year. Sucks. So we don't enjoy that.
Next up, is it true that if you built a house, that you use a septic tank if you have a contract, somebody's going to pump it out?
One more time.
If you have a building like situation,
Yeah.
let's say the house is finished, such like that, is it true that you get a contract with someone to pump it out every so long?
Yes.
So that you're,
Yes, what we do is we take a septic tank and we size it 7 times at least for 1 million. So we take it, we size it for like weeks local waste. And you have to have a contract with a local licensed pumper that says, hey, when this alarm goes off, you're allowed to live in the house. Of course you are, for a year, but you have to get the tanks pumped. It's a huge expense. Okay, so what we tell people is try to educate people, you guys can do this too. Paper plates, laundromats, you know, stuff like that. Anything that concern front end loader. You know, they don't work your foot. The front end washing machine, paper plates, laundromats, anything they can do to save water use, they save money.
And here, we do a fill away. You can't get the building permit until it's filled and completed and approved. So the house has to start, you know, a lot of them take 10 months to build a house. Hopefully,
Anything else? Yeah,
My question is, you see a lot of these properties that have some acreage, so once they get some acreage, they put the home on, detached garage.
Mhm.
I believe you can do gray water, still, you have to have a septic system, what is?
oh, stay over the hill, never, under any circumstance, nothing zero, not a drop. But, talking about pole barn stuff, they can't get power until Bob signs off saying they don't have any plumbing fixtures at all. So if you see a pole barn out there, it don't necessarily mean they have water or they're heated up. So they have to come to the health department and Bob has to verify that they don't have anything to do with water, then they can get power. But if they do, we size the septic system. Usually for 1 bedroom septic system, and they'll put their own tank in. Really can't combine them, now you're up. So yeah, it happens, but we have to put in a thing. Now, I'm gonna touch this briefly, if y'all got questions, I'll answer them. I'm not gonna get long with it. 2 years ago, we passed gray water system in the state. So it gains you absolutely nothing. It actually, you have to put in a bigger system. So, but that's what the research says, that's what we did. So it's a 50% resize, it's different. Gray water system is a little smaller, there's no tank, because that stuff, your laundry water actually gets you the toxic in the sewer if it's held for 24 hours. Stunning. But yeah, it's really disgusting. So that's why you can get a straight water system. You know, one second, yes. Yes, you're exactly right. Because you're chopping it up into a very small piece. Some of these things can get really small. It's fouling up the tank, the purpose of the tank, everything's floating around. So we're hoping that a little more space, help it settle down. Best thing you can do is put a filter on it. 99% of the stuff never needs time. Stays in there till it's pumped. Can't beat on that drum hard. Best thing you guys can do is put a filter on. Second best thing you can do is just put one line in for your laundry water. That way, bleach and all that stuff's not going in a tank and killing the bacteria. Absolutely. I would start with a concrete precaster that makes septic tanks. They all have. That's where I'd end too, because you can get online, it's not right. So yeah, concrete precasters, I don't know what one does. They all $20, $30. Anything more than that goes. Later. Oh yeah, sorry, I'm facing the wrong one. Life of the property, less you all. So you as a realtor, you got 5 lots you're trying to sell. You think they do this in Boone, it'd be much better if I sold this advertised and said health department approved lot. We love it. You know. You'll go get the site evaluation done. You can do it, okay? However, common. If you take 3 foot of soil off that lot, or you use it for a parking lot and destroy the soil, no. But if you don't disturb the soil, that site evaluation, if you don't change the soil, and the structure is going where you said it's going to go, lifetime of the property.
I would change that, someone above my pay scale, change this on.
Stay home.
Commercial property, now this developer, that property, I have all these licenses. And sell them to people with, here's a side evaluation. Those are good, pretty well, we do all right. But public knows not. Get it. Thanks.
Yeah, go ahead. What's the thing that what? Don't really get on there. Well, I don't like it, home inspector. I'm not making that, I don't like that, that's right.
Let's speak for a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
I am a home inspector.
I'm not dumping on.
What's going on, like majority, a lot of home inspectors inspections as an ancillary service. Majority of those people are only doing a dye test. So as you said, where the guy ran the bathtub overnight, you can get any system to bleed out. You can run enough water for it to get it to bleed out. So when they say, when you call a home inspector, hey, they want a septic inspection, most generally 99.9% of home inspectors are only going to do a dye test. That is not a septic tank test at all. So you need to be open to the tank. You need to be using a sludge judge, checking the sludge level. You're not going to get to the distribution box, but just running a dye test out is not a septic inspection. So you need to open the tank, see what the sludge levels are. Walk the lateral lines, see if the lateral lines are bleeding out. So in these, in my opinion, you're doing a disservice to your client when you do just give them a dye test. It's not showing.
I should qualify that also.
It's not telling them nothing.
Most of the home inspectors that are doing that, leaving the bathtub open.
Yeah.
Also installed.
So I mean, what
Septic installed.
Yeah. So I mean, what that's going to do is raise the bar on that and not just do the dye test, because you could run 10,000 gallons of water, get any system to bleed out at the end of the lateral. To me, it's not a good observation of how the system's operating. You want to get in and check the filter, pull the filter, look at the filter, check the sludge level. That's a septic inspection.
Yeah,
So, just for you guys' education, pass this off to that home inspector. They say that a septic inspection, 99.9% of them are doing a dye test. It's not doing any good.
Yeah, he's right. The only thing I think that we don't, us and realtors, I think that we don't have the morals. Other than they get mad because that's expensive. Or no, I'm feeling late. Because then your homeowners, y'all's customers usually go back and yell at y'all. And then yell at us. And it's really, if everybody just realize we are the last, we hate doing.
Yeah, I just put limitations in my reports right away that the seller needs to provide a receipt that the tank's been pumped out in the last 5 years. If they can't provide a receipt that it's been pumped out in 5 years, you need to put it as a discretionary in there to get the tank pumped.
Yeah.
So, because the people that pump the tanks are going to be the ones that they'll dig access in the tank and get inside of it. So I just feel like, they need to be pumped. They need to be pumped every 5 years. So the seller can show proof of it when they pump the tank.
Yeah. But no, we really don't fight the realtor. One time we get crossways with realtors, bad lots, and the customers usually are blowing you guys up.
Well, that, I know time frame, a lot of times inspections should be required to pay real price. Or we gotta have this inspection. Can you get this done in 2 days? Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, he's right. Yeah. Especially, yeah, and we know, and believe it or not, we understand that deadlines, that customer money. There's exceptions to every rule, but we try to get. But especially when it's wet, after a long rain, you guys get chippy, homeowners get chippy, scholars get chippy. So we're not big fans of long periods. Yes, sir.
Crystal ball.
Great question. I can see crushed glass being used in lateral line. I can see cluster systems coming on in giant. It just makes sense for. And advanced treatment, state of Kentucky drip irrigation just came off experimental. So we're trying to get as many reputable, approved companies in Kentucky as we can to create competition. So I'm not saying guys and saying 30,000. Maybe we can get that down to 15 or 20. Then to do it. But that's what I. But I also see new time. Anything else? Go ahead, Rob.
I got one thing. So like I got tank elevated, so what extra maintenance do I need to do with that?
I don't know how much maintenance you can do to a pump and just replace them when they burn out. They're going to. They're machines. You can, one thing you can do, I don't know if that's good, is Kentucky's underneath. More together, you used to take the last 20 feet, because when they pump out of those tanks, like you're saying, they're using 2.5 inch line. Okay. And then that's going, the velocity is called dynamic hit. It's going so fast, you need to slow that down. It's that distribution box, it's the blast that distribution box over time. There's a lot of erosion, losing the erosions. So a lot of times what they're doing, a lot of health departments is the last 20 feet, they'll go to 4-inch. And that just kind of pumps the brakes a little bit before it hits. But that's more maintenance for the D-box, not your pump. I don't know what you can do. You just pray they last 5, 10 years.
And most of them have like 3-year warranty, some of them will last a lot longer, some of them burn up.
Yeah, it's
Anything
crazy.
electrical like that just change.
Yes, sir.
What were you saying about not having the
Laundry water is kind of weird. Now, I'm not talking, the gray water is a few different things. Okay, I'm just talking about the laundry machine, okay? If you, to make this simple, please don't quote me on this, I'm just using numbers. Just say you put 50 feet in from the laundry line. And when you plumb the home, this is also really handy if you're repairing one. I've got it on. So it's plumbed straight from the washing machine, straight, not even in a tank, straight to a level. And that keeps all that water off your septic system. More importantly, it really is a very delicate chemical environment, anaerobic environment. So when you put laundry plates and laundry detergents, are very, very corrosive. So when you put that in septic tanks, it starts killing off the bacteria, the anaerobic bacteria, which don't reproduce as fast. So it can retard how the function of the tank. So when you get rid of all that stuff, it makes your septic tanks thriving busy with food. And it also is less water that's having to dispose. Filters and laundry lines are the best thing you can do for the system. You can do every single one. Here's the good part. Say you put 50 foot of laundry line in, as long as you're not in a heavy clay soil, that comes off the sides of the septic system. Okay? So it's not extra. It's just same somewhere else. It's just completely dedicated. Makes sense?
Goes out to each kid.
It's on like one line. Yeah, you'll have like 1 2 by 50, and it'll just for the washing machine. A lot of times, like that, we watch fix one of these things. There's not much ground. It's the first thing is to throw a filter on it, take it on somewhere else, and you see. Sometimes I call it super often. No. I ain't worse than soup. I ain't worse than soup. The laundry gets disgusting, like really disgusting. You taint it. Everything hurts. No way around. Anybody else? What's going on? All right, cool. That's all I got. Thanks, folks. Yeah.
Chris and Bob, sorry. Thank you so much for taking your time to be here with us and for all the wonderful information that you shared. And thank you all for being here this evening. We have a homework assignment for you. We have 2 more sessions coming up that they're going to be with us. One is April 20th in Grant County at the Grant County Public Library. And then on May 25th in Mason County at the Mason County Extension Center. I want to thank my Governmental Affairs Director, Veronica, and her Governmental Affairs Committee for all their hard work. They had a vision and they applied to make it happen. So thank you for that. Lacey, for all of her help with logistics and taking reservations. She's with the Boone County Extension Service. So, door prize. So, hopefully I can read your name. Christopher Sanders.
Must be present to win.
Congratulations. Please take some time to write